In this video, we're going to discuss location of roots theorem. So let I be a closed and bounded interval a comma b, and f be a function from I to r, and let's say this function is continuous on I. If f of a is less than 0, less than f of b, or f of a greater than 0, greater than f of b, then there exists C element of open interval AB such that f of x is equal to 0. So ano yung sinasabi ng location of roots theorem? So ang sinasabi nito, kapag daw sinubstitute mo, meron tayong closed and bounded interval a comma b. Isa-substitute mo tong a sa function, tapos dito sa function, substitute mo tong b dito sa function, dapat ang lalabas sa kanila opposite sign. Okay? Yung isa sa kanila, either yung f of a ay negative o kaya naman yung f of a ay positive. So kapag negative yung f of a, dapat yung f of b ay positive. Kapag naman positive yung f of a, dapat yung f of b ay negative. So kapag daw ganun yung nangyari, then meron daw tayong makikitang C element of open interval a comma b. So somewhere, basta nasa gitna ng interval a comma b, na kapag sinubstitute mo sa f, ang lalabas ay 0. Or simply, makakakita tayo ng root, okay, ng function. Okay? So at least one root. So kahit isang root or maybe more than one roots, basta maibig sabihin lang yan, may mag-e-exist na root ang root ng function. Okay? So yun yung sinasabi ng location of roots theorem. So let's try to graph this. Okay, so halimbawa, let's say we have this one, Cartesian plane. Let's say i-sketch natin ito. Okay, yung f of a yung negative, yung f of b ay positive. So let's say we have a here, and then we have b here, and then let's say ito yung f of a natin, ito yung f of b. Okay, so according sa theorem, so somewhere here, meron tayong point dito, and then meron tayong point dito for f of b. So let's say may graph tayo ng function, so ito yan. Ang sinasabi lang yan, kapag ganito yung situation, okay, for closed and bounded interval AB, so may intersect ng ating function yung x-axis. Okay, so may makikita tayo dito na point C na kapag sinubstitute natin sa F, ang lalabas ay 0. Or simply, in-intersect niya yung ating x-axis. Okay, so yun yung location of roots. Yun yung sinasabi ng location of roots theorem. So let's try to prove this theorem. Okay, so for our proof, okay, so ang gawin natin, ito na lang. So same lang naman sa idea kapag ito yung gagamitin. So mamili na lang tayo ng isa, ito na lang yung gagamitin ko. Let f of a be less than 0, and this is less than f of b. Okay. So, ang gagawin ko dito, magko-construct ako ng sequence of subintervals, tapos, ibabisect ko siya. Okay? So, let's construct a sequence of subintervals of I by successive bisections. So, ganun yung gagawin natin. Gagawa tayo ng sequence of subintervals. Yung subintervals na ipoproduce natin ay galing doon sa gagawin nating bisection. So, ibabisect natin yung simula ng interval, yung pinakabuo, babisect natin, and then yung nabisect natin ay babisect uli natin, and so on. Okay? Now, let I sub 1 be defined as our initial interval, yung unang interval natin. And let's relabel yung A natin kanina, ito, palitan natin ng A sub 1. A as A sub 1 and B as B sub 1. Okay, so papalitan lang natin. Now, kunin natin yung midpoint ng interval na yan. Okay, yung bagong interval natin is I sub 1, close and bounded, A sub 1, B sub 1. Okay, so kunin natin yung midpoint niya. So let's say yung midpoint niya ay P sub 1. Let P sub 1 be the midpoint of I sub 1. So, yung P sub 1 natin, since midpoint siya, sum siya ng A sub 1 at ng B sub 1 and then divided by 2. Okay. Now, sabi nga natin, ang goal natin dito, dapat mayroong value between A and B na kapag sinubstitute natin sa F, dapat 0. Ngayon, kapag itong P sub 1, which is yung midpoint nito, ng A sub 1, B sub 1 ay 0 kapag sinubstitute sa F. So, if F of P sub 1 is equal to 0, okay na. We are done. Okay? Kasi nakapagpalabas na tayo ng root. Okay? Pero kung hindi siya 0, so hindi pa tayo tapos. So, otherwise, kapag yung, let's say, ang f of p sub 1 is greater than 0, positive yung lumabas, then, magbabisect ulit tayo ng panibagong sub-interval. Okay? So, define a sub 2 b a sub 1. So, yung gagawin nating a sub 2 ay same lang kay a sub 1. Okay? Nandun tayo sa part ng left side ng graph. And then, yung B sub 2 ay, yun yung magiging ano natin, P sub 1, yung midpoint. Okay? And B sub 2, B, P sub 1. Okay? So, yung I sub 2 natin, magiging A sub 2, B sub 2. Okay? Now, may another case tayo dito. Pwede naman, na kapag sinubstitute natin yung P sub 1, negative ang lumabas. So, kapag ganyan naman yung nangyari, i-define natin yung A sub 2 to be P sub 1. Okay, so doon naman tayo sa right side ng line. And yung B sub 2 natin is the same lang as B sub 1. Okay, so yung magiging bagong interval natin is ganun pa rin pero nasa kabilang side na siya. Okay, so A sub 2, B sub 2. Okay, so kung hindi nyo ma-imagine, i-ano natin yung line. Magdaro tayo ng line dito. Meron tayong A sub 1, B sub 1. Yung A sub 1 yun yung A, B sub 1 yun yung ano, yun yung B. So let's say ito yung A sub 1, B sub 1. Nag-bisect tayo ng P sub 1. Let's say yung P sub 1 ay positive daw. Okay? So dito sa una to yung P sub 1 natin positive. So ibig sabihin daw yung A sub 2 natin, siya lang din yung A sub 1. So ito yung magiging A sub 2 natin. Tapos ito yung magiging B sub 2. So ito yung magiging bagong interval natin. Okay? Ito yon yung I sub 2. Nandito. Pero kapag ito yung nangyari, yung sa pang number 2, okay, so tuloy natin A sub 1, B sub 1, and then let's say ito yung P sub 1. Tapos sabi daw, negative yung lumabas sa P sub 1 nung sinubstitute. So ang mangyayari, yung A sub 2 natin is yung P sub 1. Okay, so ito yung magiging A sub 2. Tapos, ito yung magiging B sub 2. So, ito yung bago nating sub-interval, yung I sub 2. So, ayun yung dalawang case. So, depende kung alin yung lalabas pag sinubstitute natin yung P sub 1 sa function. Okay? Now, in any case naman, kahit alin dito sa dalawa, ang lalabas dito, yung interval, yung I sub 2, kung mapapansin nyo, I subset lang siya ng I sub 1 ng original. Tama? Okay, so state natin either way, yung I sub 2 is still subset of I sub 1. Okay? And yung f of, let's say, f of A sub 2 still less than 0. And yung f of B sub 2 is greater than 0. Okay? So, ganyan pa rin naman yung mangyayari. Now, kasi galing dito sa galing dito sa assumption natin. Yung isa ay negative, yung isa ay positive. Ang pinoprove naman natin dito ay may mag-e-exist na C. Okay? Such that f of x is equal to 0. So, ito yung assumption natin. Kaya natin nasabi na yung isa dito, yung A sub 2, pag sinubstitute sa f, negative. Yung isa ay positive. Kasi, ayun yung ginamit natin. Okay? F of A is less than 0 and then f of B is greater than 0. Okay? Now, so, let's continue this process. No? Ganun pa rin. Kapag kumuha tayo ng P sub 2, midpoint, kumuha ulit tayo ng midpoint, and then sinubstitute natin sa F, pag 0 yung lumabas, tapos na uli. Pero pag hindi 0, so ganito uli. Tuloy-tuloy lang na ganito yung process. Okay? So, hindi ko na syempre pahabain, no? So, continuing this process, let's continue this process, okay, to define intervals, I sub 1, I sub 2, I sub 3, kung gaano man karami siya, we are not sure kung ano yung kung hanggang saan tayo matatapos, but there are two possibilities here. Okay? So, there are two possibilities. So, ano yung dalawang yun? Una, may mag-e-exist na natural number k such that kapag sinubstitute mo yung kumbaga ito yung k na to yung pinaka-subscript nito. Okay? So, kumbaga, makikita natin yung ending. Yun yung unang possibility. So, there exists a natural number k where this process ends so that f of p sub k, ito yung midpoint, okay, for k subscript is equal to 0. So, ito yung ending. Nakita natin yung ending. So, ngayon, ano yung isang possibility? Yung isang possibility is tuloy-tuloy siya. Okay? The process, walang ending. The process continues and we obtain a sequence of nested interval. So sequence of nested intervals. Nested intervals I sub 1, superset of I sub 2, superset of I sub 3, and so on up to I sub k, and so on, I sub k plus 1, and so on. Okay. So, meron tayong infinitely many intervals here, nested intervals. Okay. Now, i-apply natin ang nested intervals theorem. So, by nested intervals theorem. Okay? So, kung nakalimutan nyo na yung nested intervals theorem, pwede nyo i-review sa video natin. Dito lang din sa advanced calculus. So, you can search for the topic of nested interval. So, ang sabi doon, may mag-e-exist daw tayong C na yun yung common element. Okay? C, element of the intersection of I sub K. Yun yung common element nito. Okay? Ng nested interval. So, kung ito yung common element, then yung C is between A sub K and I sub K. So, A sub K is less than or equal to C less than or equal to B sub K. For all K element of the set of natural numbers. Now, since ang limit ng B sub K minus A sub K is 0, okay? Since yung limit niya is 0, ibig sabihin nun, makikita natin na yung limit ng B sub K equal sa limit ng A sub K, and that is yung C. Okay? Now, since continuous yung function natin from our assumption, no? Since f is continuous, nakalimutan ko palang ilagay ito yung K element of natural numbers para kompleto. Now, going back, since f is continuous from our assumption, so kung continuous siya, yung limit ng f of b sub k equal sa limit of f of a sub k equal sa value ng f of c. Okay? So dito, makikita na natin, no? By construction, no, para mas madaling intindihin. By construction, okay? Yung f of a sub k natin is 0. Tama? Kasi galing sa assumption natin kanina. Ito, yung assumption natin kanina, this one, that is less than 0 for all k. For all k element of n implies yung f of c less than or equal to 0. Since yung limit ng f of a sub k is f of c. So kung yung f of a sub k is always negative, okay, then yung f of c natin, since dito nag-a-approach yung limit ng f of a sub k, that is less than or equal to 0. While yung galing din sa assumption, yung f of b sub k natin is greater than 0 for all k element of n. So dito, from our assumption din, palaging positive siya. So kung palaging positive siya, at yung limit ng f of b sub k is also equal to f of c, then this implies f of c to be greater than or equal to 0. And since yung f of c is less than or equal to 0, and at the same time, yung f of c is greater than or equal to 0. Therefore, yung f of c natin is equal to 0. So, nakapagpalabas tayo ng root. So, this is done. Okay? Now, magbigay nga tayo ng example kung paano natin na-apply ito. So, usually, na-apply natin to para malaman natin kung yung given function may root o hindi. Given continuous function on certain closed and bounded interval. Okay, so bigay tayo example. Okay, so example, let's say number 1. Let's say we have the function f of x equals x pi raised to x minus 3 on 0, 1. Okay, so tignan natin kung may root yan. Okay, on 0, 1. Now, para malaman natin, applying the Theorem 8 or Location of Roots theorem, so isa-substitute lang natin yung ito. Ito yung nagsisilbing A. Ito yung nagsisilbing B. Substitute lang natin siya. F of 0 is equal to 0 pi raised to 0 minus 3. This is 0 minus 3 or negative 3. So, negative. So, dapat itong B positive para magkaroon siya ng root. Okay, so f of 1 is equal to 1 pi raised to 1 minus 3. This is simply pi minus 3. And we know that yung pi minus 3 is something, if we approximate it, 3.14, no? Nasa 3.14. So, positive. Negative yung f of 0, positive yung f of 1. So, since yung f of 0 is less than 0 and yung f of 1 is greater than 0, by theorem, location of roots theorem, pangalanan natin, by location of roots theorem or theorem 8, okay, ninumberan ko ba siya? Pangalanan natin, location of roots theorem. Okay. Ayan. Under this chapter. So, theorem 8 under the chapter of continuity. Okay. So, kasi marami na ako na-discuss na theorem before. So, baka magtaka kayo bakit theorem 8. So, ito yung pang-8 theorem under the topics of continuity. Okay. So, new chapter kasi ang continuity. But, ang name natin, let's name it as location of roots theorem. F has a root in 0, 1. Okay, so yun yung application niya. So malalaman natin kung may root yung isang function on the given closed and bounded interval. Okay?